Hello there, this is Business Incorporated on Channels Television and we're glad to have you. I am BC Adebayo. Today on the program, South Africa begins a review to inspect 72 Johannesburg Stock Exchange securities listed firms to ensure compliance with employment equity laws. And Zambia cuts benchmark lending rate for the third time this year. Plus, Tanzania's growth slows to 5.7% in the first quarter of 2017. Well, we're starting from the continental stock markets in Africa, where the indices are mostly in negative territory, and intraday, the Nigerian All-Share Index is 0.07% down, while the South African Bourse is 0.02% lower. The Egyptian index is also 0.4% down at intraday. The markets in Kenya are still reacting positively to the just concluded elections, with the index closing up 1.08% on Wednesday. And in the Middle East, the markets are mixed at intraday, with the Abu Dhabi down 0.12%. The Doha index is 0.12% higher, while the Qatar SE is 0.69% in negative territory. The Saudi Arabian index is up at intraday with 0.14%. And the European markets opened lower today as investors monitor new corporate earnings and geopolitical tensions surrounding North Korea. Daniel Koop is waiting at the Frankfurt Stock Exchange to tell us what's happening at the markets today. It's good to have you again, Daniel. Now, the rhetoric between Washington and Pyongyang continues to damage the global stock market even today. Does anyone have an idea when all this will taper off? Okay, we seem to have lost Daniel there, but we'll continue the conversation with him in just a moment. Well, in the meantime, U.S. stock futures point to more losses for Wall Street today as tensions between the U.S. and North Korea showed no signs of easing. On the corporate side, investors will get earnings from Mrs. Incorporated and Coles, along with an update on producer prices. Dow Jones Industrial Average futures fell 0.25%, while S&P 500 futures dropped 0.41% to 2,463. Tech stocks were indicating bigger losses as Nasdaq 100 futures slid 0.7% to 5,881 points. Well, Daniel Koop is back with us from the Frankfurt Stock Exchange to tell us what's happening at the markets. Daniel, it's been an interesting few days there, but tell me, the rhetoric between Washington and Pyongyang continues to damage the global stock markets even today. Does anyone have an idea when all this will die off?
Hi there, BZ. Yes, we can see this continuing here also today in Frankfurt at the blue chip index DAX. For the first time, actually, in quite a few days and weeks, we are now under the 12,100 point mark, very far away from the 12,300 point mark that investors wanted to reach at the beginning of the week, and even further away from the 13,000 point mark that actually some investors thought we might be reaching now at the end of the summer. So yeah, all this tension still going on, and for the moment we can say that I don't think this is going to be any kind of better in the next days if there is not going to be any more peaceful talk from now on between the United States and also North Korea. There's lots of uncertainty. I don't think that investors here at the stock market are thinking that there's a war right in front of the door. I don't think that's the case, but for many of them, the entire situation is just so very hard to predict. Let me tell you something else, another connection to this. Because we have all this instability right now going on in the United States, we have seen the dollar dropping and dropping throughout the last days and weeks. And on the other side, we have a very strong euro currency. What this means, a strong euro currency, you might be thinking, well, that's maybe making investors happy at your end here in Frankfurt, Daniel. It's actually not the case. Just investors who are investing their money in currencies and who are betting, for example, that, the currency might go up or might go down. Those are the only people that are happy about this, because most of the shares that are listed here at the blue chip index DAX are companies that are not just doing business here inside of Germany or inside of Europe. They are also doing business overseas. What happens when we have a very strong euro currency is that their products get abroad more expensive. Just BMW, they released fresh numbers today of their sales business and export business going on with the United States, and their sales are actually dropping in the United States by almost 14%. When you talk to experts, they are saying that they see a link between this and the very strong euro currency, because cars are more expensive, and a person interested in buying a car in the United States might say, well, the German car is too expensive, we rather go for the American car.
But on the flip side, Daniel, commodity prices are ramping up gains, and the monthly OPEC production report is also on tap today. Now, is this flight to safety sustainable?
Well, this mostly is going to make you guys happy in Nigeria, because you produce lots of oil, and we are hearing from OPEC today that OPEC is actually expecting a higher demand of oil this year, but also throughout the next year. The reason there is simply more oil needed on the market, and that also competitive markets were not producing as much oil as they were needed. So there's still most likely going to be a surplus of the oil production. Just looking at July, the amount of oil that was produced of the 14 member states were above the demand, because Libya and also Nigeria were producing even more. And yes, we see higher commodity prices also today. I was just taking a look a few seconds ago. The barrel of North Sea, that's the most common oil that is being bought here in Europe, is now up with $53.26. That's 20% higher when you compare this to just 1 month ago. And yes, I can tell you, I was filling up my car yesterday. We can see higher gas prices, higher prices to fill up your car right now here at the German gas stations.
Well, let's turn to corporate earnings now. Who's reporting any numbers in the rest of the week? And are these figures likely to be burnt by the U.S. and North Korea's fire and fury?
Well, everything right now, BZ, is overshadowed by this ongoing crisis, this ongoing discussions between the United States and North Korea. But of course, companies are doing their earning reports, and those reports, reflect also what was happening in the last quarter. Let me tell you one example. TUI, which is a giant tourism company with their headquarters here in Hanover, Germany, came out with fresh numbers today, and the entire tourism industry right now is kind of on the edge, kind of changing, because tourism location here in Europe are mostly changing. Some years ago, it was very attractive for German tourists, but also for European tourists, for example, to make their vacation in Egypt, to make their vacation in Tunisia or in Turkey. Now we have lots of crisis going on in this country, in those countries. Just mentioning Turkey with, also a German journalist that has been arrested in this, there in prison already for almost 200 days now. So many people, many tourists are not choosing those destinations. So the challenge for the tourism organizations and tourism companies here in Germany and Europe is to make other markets more attractive. And TUI has been very successful with this. They came out with very promising numbers today. In their third quarter, they made 222 million euros. That's the enormous amount of 38% higher when you compare this with last year. TUI is able to sell other destinations to also attractive prices. For example, Spain, also France, and TUI has been also very good when you talk, for example, about their cruise business. They have a cruise ship fleet called Mein Schiff, and they're doing very successful. And with these cruise ships, they're able, basically to do business not just during the summer, but throughout throughout the year. So that's the news regarding TUI. We are also waiting for earning reports tomorrow coming from Innogy. They're going to talk about their second quarter. Innogy is an energy company which belongs to REWE, one of the biggest energy giants here in Germany. And we are also getting reports tomorrow from one of the biggest machine factories tomorrow, Zingulus. So yeah, lots of earning reports also to share with you tomorrow in our show, BZ.
We'll definitely look forward to that. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for those updates, and see you again tomorrow.